The desert stretched endlessly, golden sands shimmering under the relentless sun as Daniel Ward said, "There are secrets buried here, waiting to speak." His voice cracked with both exhaustion and exhilaration. He brushed the sweat from his brow, his hand trembling as he uncovered a stone marked with strange carvings. "Emily Cross," said Daniel, "this looks like a regular artifact. You always see more than what's there." Her tone carried doubt, but her eyes lingered too long on the impossible patterns etched into the surface. Daniel whispered, "No, Emily, these symbols don't belong to this age." The wind howled across the ruins, scattering sand through the air like whispers of ghosts. He pressed his fingers over the carved lines, feeling an unnatural hum echo in his chest. Emily stepped back uneasily, the glow of the setting sun reflecting in her glasses. She said, "You scare me when you speak like that." Daniel replied softly, "Truth always scares those not ready to face it." The earth trembled faintly beneath them, as though acknowledging his words. The desert air grew heavier, pressing down like a warning. Daniel Ward said, "This stone is a map. I can feel it." His voice carried conviction, though no proof yet existed. "Emily Cross," said Daniel, "you risk your reputation chasing illusions." She squinted at the symbols as the last rays of daylight flickered across their edges. Daniel muttered, "Illusions don't shake the earth beneath us." The ground still vibrated faintly, unsettling Emily. She whispered, "I don't want to be here if something's buried." Daniel clenched his jaw, replying, "The world buried the truth long ago. We are just its grave diggers." The silence between them deepened, broken only by the echo of shifting sand. Daniel Ward pressed the slab again, his fingers trembling with hunger for answers. He said, "Every civilization whispers the same story, Emily." They all looked to the stars. Emily Cross whispered, "You sound like those conspiracy theorists I laugh at in lectures." Her sarcasm faltered as a low hum echoed from beneath the ground. Daniel's eyes gleamed. "Do you hear that? Proof doesn't lie." Emily clutched her satchel nervously, her breathing shallow. She muttered, "Or it's just the desert playing tricks." The hum grew louder, resonating with the carvings. Daniel whispered, "This is not a trick. It's a signal waiting for us." Emily Cross turned away, shaking her head. She said, "I didn't come here to chase myths. I came to help you study ruins." Daniel Ward answered sharply, "Ruins are myths until someone proves them true." The desert wind intensified, sweeping around them like unseen voices. Emily's voice cracked as she whispered, "You've lost yourself, Daniel. This obsession will consume you." Daniel stared into the glowing slab, his face half in shadow, and said, "Then let it consume me, because I will not walk away from truth." The ruins seemed to pulse faintly, like a heartbeat buried in stone. The sun disappeared, and the desert was cloaked in violet twilight. Daniel Ward said, "Darkness reveals what daylight hides." Emily Cross muttered, "Or it hides what should never be found." A sudden whisper seemed to flow through the carvings, almost like a voice speaking in forgotten tongues. Emily gasped and said, "Tell me you heard that." Daniel's expression hardened. "Yes, the past speaks, and it wants to be known." The ruins shimmered faintly in the moonlight as the hum returned, stronger, echoing into the horizon like a call unanswered for millennia. The desert ruins stretched into the night, stars scattered above like silent witnesses. Daniel Ward said, "Every stone here carries echoes of the past." His words fell heavy, as if the earth itself listened. Emily Cross whispered, "Daniel, you're speaking like a man who wants ghosts to answer him." The carvings pulsed faintly in the moonlight, stirring unease. Daniel pressed his palm against the slab again and muttered, "Civilizations far older than ours left these patterns, and they point to the heavens." Emily's eyes narrowed, reflecting starlight. She said, "If you keep searching for answers in the sky, you'll lose sight of the ground beneath you." A gust of desert wind howled, scattering sand across the ruins, filling the silence with restless energy. Daniel exhaled sharply, then let the ground tremble. "I am ready to hear what it hides." The air grew colder, as if the desert itself recoiled. Elias Graves emerged from the shadows, his tall frame cloaked in black. His deep voice carried across the ruins as he said, "The stars do not forgive curiosity." Daniel Ward stiffened, his hand dropping from the stone. He asked, "Who are you, old man? And how do you know what this means?" Elias's piercing eyes locked on him. "I know because I've seen the same glow before, in a place where men were not meant to stand." Emily Cross gasped softly, her heart racing. She said, "You're scaring us with riddles. Speak plainly." Elias turned, letting moonlight trace the lines of his weathered face. "Plain speech cannot hold truth so heavy," he said, his voice fading like smoke. Daniel clenched his jaw, his resolve unbroken. "Then give me the weight, I'll carry it." Elias smiled faintly, a smile that held no joy. Sarah Holt sat quietly on a broken column, her pale face illuminated by moonlight. She clutched an old locket in her hands. Daniel Ward approached and said gently, "Sarah, you've been here before, haven't you?" Her voice trembled as she whispered, "My family vanished here years ago. They said it was the desert that took them, but I know it was something else." Emily Cross moved closer, her expression softening. She said, "You've carried this pain alone for too long." Sarah's blue eyes welled with tears. "Every night I hear voices in the sand. They call my name, but when I answer, there is only silence." Daniel stared at her with grim understanding. "The ruins hold your answers," he said, "but they may also hold your loss." Sarah clutched the locket tighter, whispering, "Then I must face it, no matter the cost." Daniel Ward uncovered a half-buried object, metal gleaming faintly beneath the sand. He said, "This isn't from any known age." Emily Cross stepped forward cautiously, her voice low. "Daniel, that looks like it belongs to a machine, not an ancient people." The object pulsed faintly with light, unlike any natural glow. Elias Graves muttered, "You've found what others died to keep hidden." Sarah Holt gasped, her hand tightening around her locket. She said, "Is this connected to my family's disappearance?" Elias's eyes narrowed as he replied, "Everything is connected, child. That is the curse of knowing too much." Daniel held the artifact aloft, his face lit by its glow. "Then we are closer to the truth than ever," he said, voice steady but burning with obsession. Emily whispered, "We're closer to ruin." The artifact's hum deepened, vibrating through the stones. Daniel Ward said, "It's waking something." Emily Cross' eyes widened in fear as she whispered, "Daniel, stop before we can't undo this." Elias Graves stepped back into shadows, his cloak fluttering. He said, "Once called, it cannot be silenced." Sarah Holt dropped to her knees, pressing her locket to the ground, tears running down her cheeks. "I can hear them," she cried. Their voices, trapped beneath the earth. Daniel stood firm, jaw clenched, eyes glowing with conviction. He declared, "Then we dig deeper. The truth is here, and I won't let it stay buried." The desert wind roared like a warning, scattering sand in furious waves, while the ruins pulsed with light like a heartbeat rising from the deep. The ruins flickered with faint light, shadows bending unnaturally. Adrian Cole approached with a confident stride, his polished shoes crunching over sand. He said smoothly, "Daniel, I heard rumors of your discovery, and I knew I had to see it myself." Daniel Ward's eyes narrowed, suspicion already brewing. "You don't chase rumors without reason, Adrian." Emily Cross folded her arms tightly, her tone sharp. "Why are you really here?" Adrian smiled warmly, his expression practiced. "Because I believe in truth as much as you do. Surely you know you can't do this alone." Elias Graves watched from the darkness, eyes piercing. "Some men offer help, only to chain you later." Sarah Holt trembled, clutching her locket as she whispered, "I don't trust him, he feels wrong." Daniel turned back to Adrian, jaw tight. "If you want to stand with us, then prove it. Words aren't enough in this place." Adrian's smile widened as he replied, "Then let me earn it." Adrian Cole bent closer to the artifact, eyes glinting. "This is remarkable," he said softly. Daniel Ward moved closer, his voice edged with caution. "Don't touch it unless you understand what it is. Adrian glanced at him, feigning innocence. Just curiosity, Daniel. Knowledge belongs to all of us. Emily Cross muttered, knowledge destroys those who don't respect it. Sarah Holt's breathing grew shallow, her voice trembling. The voices grow louder when he's near. Elias Graves' tone deepened with menace. Then perhaps he carries echoes with him. Adrian laughed lightly, brushing off the unease. I'm only here to help. Surely suspicion doesn't serve truth. Daniel's eyes darkened. Suspicion saves lives. Prove you're not a danger to us, or leave now. The ruins hummed faintly, as though mocking their fragile trust. Daniel Ward unrolled an ancient parchment, the ink faint yet vivid under moonlight. These symbols match what we saw on the stone, he said firmly. Adrian Cole leaned over, voice smooth. They look more like maps than myths. Emily Cross shook her head. Or warnings disguised as maps. Elias Graves muttered, maps that lead not to places but to traps. Sarah Holt stared at the symbols, her voice a whisper. They look like stars I've seen in dreams. Adrian tapped the parchment gently. Dreams or not, they guide us somewhere real. Daniel's gaze hardened. And where they lead, danger waits. But danger won't stop me. Adrian smirked faintly. It never has. The silence hung, heavy with both wonder and mistrust, as the desert wind tugged at the edges of the parchment. The Keeper of Secrets appeared at the edge of the ruins, Professor Marcus Kane's silver hair catching the moonlight. His voice rang with authority. What you search for should remain forgotten. Daniel Ward's jaw tightened. You hide truth behind chains of fear. Kane stepped closer, his cane tapping stone. Because truth burns brighter than men can bear. Emily Cross whispered, Why are you here now, Kane? He looked at Adrian Cole, eyes narrowing. Because I see snakes where you see allies. Adrian raised his hand smoothly. I've done nothing but offer help. Elias Graves growled. And yet your presence curdles the air. Sarah Holt clutched her locket tighter, her body trembling. Daniel pointed at Kane and said, Your secrets won't stop me. Not here, not now. Kane's lips curved into a cold smile. Then may your arrogance be your ruin. The ruins shook, as if caught between forces. Daniel Ward shouted, No one can silence this truth. Professor Marcus Kane's voice boomed, You're playing with fire carved into stone. Adrian Cole stepped forward calmly, hands open. Perhaps fire is what we need. Emily Cross' voice broke, Stop this madness before it swallows us. Elias Graves said grimly, It has already begun. Sarah Holt collapsed to her knees, sobbing. They're screaming under the earth. Daniel clenched the artifact tighter, eyes blazing. Then let them scream. Their voices will guide us. Kane's face twisted with fury. Then may their screams be your end. The ruins glowed violently, light spilling across the sands as the storm of secrets grew. Beneath the crumbling ruins, the group descended into a hidden chamber, lit only by flickering torches. Daniel Ward said, These walls hold what the desert never meant us to see. Emily Cross brushed dust from carved shelves. These are not mere walls, Daniel, they're archives. Elias Graves muttered, his hood casting long shadows. Knowledge buried this deep is always forbidden. Sarah Holt clutched her locket, whispering, My father once spoke of scrolls that glowed like embers. Adrian Cole smirked faintly. And now we've found them. Destiny smiles on us tonight. Professor Marcus Kane slammed his cane against the stone, his voice harsh. You fools meddle with texts cursed by centuries. Daniel's eyes burned with defiance. Truth cannot be cursed, only feared. The chamber seemed to hum in response, as dust trembled from the ceiling above. Daniel Ward unfurled a scroll, the symbols burning faintly like fireflies. This isn't written in any language of Earth, he said. Emily Cross leaned close, eyes wide. It looks like constellations stitched into words. Adrian Cole chuckled softly. Maps hidden in language. Brilliant. Elias Graves hissed. blasphemy disguised as brilliance. Sarah Holt reached out, trembling, her voice breaking. These symbols are in my dreams, the same ones that haunt me. Marcus Kane's face hardened. Dreams are nothing but tricks, you risk reality itself. Daniel's hand shook as he traced the glowing ink. No dream could hold power like this. This is a voice from beyond time. The chamber walls pulsed faintly, as if alive, and the group froze in shared dread. Elias Graves stepped forward, his voice low and sharp. Every secret revealed comes with a price. Daniel Ward turned on him. Then I'll pay it. No price is higher than ignorance. Emily Cross whispered, Daniel, you sound consumed. Adrian Cole smiled slyly. Obsession builds bridges no sane man dares cross. Sarah Holt clutched her locket tighter, tears forming. What if the bridge leads only to loss? Kane's tone cut through. It will. That is its only destination. Daniel unrolled more scrolls, symbols glowing brighter. They point somewhere, hidden among the stars. Elias shook his head. Then your path is not of men but of gods, and gods always demand blood. The chamber trembled, as if approving his warning. Marcus Kane raised his cane, pointing at Daniel. You are not prepared to wield what these texts hold. Daniel Ward glared back, his voice unwavering. Prepared or not, I won't turn away. Emily Cross' voice broke. You'll destroy yourself chasing what no man should know. Adrian Cole's grin widened. Sometimes destruction is the only way to rebuild. Elias Graves growled. Your tongue drips poison, Cole. Sarah Holt cried out, Please stop fighting. This isn't what they want us to do. The chamber shook violently, scrolls rattling in their niches. Daniel shouted above the roar. The truth chooses its bearer. And it has chosen me. Kane's eyes darkened, his calm cracking. Then, it has chosen its own doom. The chamber's glow intensified, symbols on the scrolls burning brighter. Daniel Ward shouted, It's a map written in starlight. Emily Cross gasped. Then it leads beyond Earth itself. Adrian Cole laughed softly. Finally, proof worth dying for. Elias Graves snarled. You'd sacrifice us all for pride. Sarah Holt collapsed, clutching her locket to her chest, sobbing. The voices, they're screaming now. Marcus Kane raised his cane, his voice thunderous. End this before the heavens themselves awaken. Daniel's face hardened with obsession. No, we follow where it leads, no matter the cost. The chamber roared, stone cracking, as the desert above trembled with unearthly energy. The ruins lay heavy in silence until Adrian Cole stepped closer to Daniel Ward, his tone measured. You've carried this burden alone long enough. Let me shoulder it with you. Daniel's eyes flickered with hesitation. And why should I trust you now, Adrian? Adrian's expression softened, a practiced vulnerability. Because I've seen what secrets do to men. Alone, they break us. Together, we might bend them to our will. Emily Cross frowned, arms folded tightly. He speaks like he knows the price already. Elias Graves growled. He knows more than he admits. Sarah Holt looked at Adrian, voice trembling. Do you promise not to twist this like others before? Adrian knelt beside her, hand over his heart. On everything I am, Sarah, I promise. Kane's cane struck stone sharply. Promises are poison, and this one drips with venom. Daniel exhaled, torn between suspicion and desperate hope. Then prove you mean it. Adrian Cole placed his hand over the artifact, a faint hum coursing through the stone. See? It does not reject me, he said confidently. Daniel Ward clenched his fists. That doesn't mean it accepts you. Emily Cross' voice cracked. Daniel, he's weaving trust like a net, and you're walking into it. Adrian looked at her with feigned hurt. I only want what you all want, answers. Elias Graves hissed. No serpent hisses without venom. Sarah Holt shook her head slowly. Yet the voices quieted when he touched it. Kane's tone thundered. That is the silence before the storm. Daniel's jaw tensed. If you are true, Adrian, then walk beside me into the dark. Adrian smiled faintly. Gladly. The artifact pulsed brighter, its glow washing over them all like a tide of uncertain allegiance. The chamber trembled as the artifact's light flared. Daniel Ward shouted, "Something awakens with us." Emily Cross pulled back, eyes wide. "It's him. Adrian is the trigger." Adrian Cole laughed softly, eyes glinting. "If I am, then perhaps I was meant to be." Elias Graves spat. "Fate doesn't choose traitors. Traitors choose themselves." Sarah Holt cried out, clutching her locket. The voices are screaming again, louder than before. Kane's cane struck the ground as he roared. "He's betrayed you already, Daniel. Can you not see?" Daniel glared at Adrian, fury and disbelief in his eyes. "You played us from the start, didn't you?" Adrian's smile vanished, his voice turning cold. "I didn't play you, Daniel. I guided you here. You'd never have found this truth without me." The chamber echoed with a pulse like a heartbeat from the deep earth. Daniel Ward lunged forward, grabbing Adrian by the collar. "You betrayed every step we took." Adrian Cole smirked despite the grip. Betrayal is only seen by those unwilling to face truth. Emily Cross cried out, "Daniel, stop. Violence won't save us." Elias Graves barked. "Let him feel the weight of his lies." Sarah Holt sobbed, her voice breaking. "Please, you're tearing each other apart while the ruins collapse." Kane thundered, "This is his plan, to divide you until nothing remains." Daniel shoved Adrian back, chest heaving. "You used me as your compass, Adrian. Every choice led us here because you steered it." Adrian's eyes gleamed with victory. "And now that we're here, Daniel, the truth belongs to me." The chamber shook violently, dust raining from above as the walls cracked with light. The ruins convulsed with violent energy, cracks splitting through stone. Daniel Ward shouted, "You'll never own the truth, Adrian." Adrian Cole spread his arms, eyes alight. It was never about owning, it was about surviving the revelation. Emily Cross clung to Daniel's arm. "We have to stop him before the ruins consume us all." Elias Graves bellowed, "Strike him down now, or hell bury you in lies forever." Sarah Holt collapsed, sobbing, their dying voices in the ground, begging for release. Kane's voice thundered, "This ends now or none of us leave." Daniel clenched his fists, his face burning with rage. "Then let it end with me. But Adrian, your betrayal won't stand." The artifact exploded with a pulse of blinding light, shaking the chamber to its foundation. The chamber cracked open wider, light bleeding into the desert night. Marcus Kane raised his cane high, his voice thunderous. "This ends before the world itself unravels." Daniel Ward shouted back, "You've hidden truth too long, Kane. Tonight it breathes again." Adrian Cole smirked through the chaos, eyes glowing with arrogance. "Neither of you understand. The truth isn't meant to be caged or freed. It devours." Emily Cross pulled at Daniel's arm. "You'll die if you keep fighting them both." Elias Graves growled, "Better death than surrender to lies." Sarah Holt screamed, clutching her locket, "The ground is splitting. They're pulling us into their grief." Kane's eyes blazed with fury. "You brought us to the brink, Daniel. I will bury you here with your obsession." Daniel roared, voice shaking stone. "Then bury me under truth, not chains." The ruins erupted with violent tremors. Sand and stone rained from above as Daniel Ward clutched the artifact tighter. "This power belongs to no one man," he said. Adrian Cole laughed, his tone sharp. "Then it belongs to me because I dared to claim it." Emily Cross' voice shook. "Daniel, let it go before it consumes you both." Elias Graves' cloak whipped violently in the wind. "You fight shadows, and the shadows always win." Sarah Holt collapsed to her knees, sobbing. "The voices are screaming for blood." Marcus Kane lunged forward, his cane striking at the artifact. "Destroy it, Daniel, or it destroys all of us." Daniel's eyes burned with obsession as he pulled back. "If it destroys me, then so be it. but it will never remain buried again. Lightning split across the chamber ceiling, illuminating their rage. Elias Graves stepped forward, his cloak swirling. Daniel, every truth carries chains. Break them before they bind you forever. Daniel Ward shouted back, I'd rather be bound by truth than blinded by ignorance. Adrian Cole's laughter echoed. You're both fools. Truth isn't a gift, it's a weapon. Emily Cross trembled, clutching Daniel's arm. Please, stop before you lose yourself. Sarah Holt rocked on her knees, whispering through tears. They keep calling. They want release. Marcus Kane's tone was cold and final. Then release must come through silence. He raised his cane again, ready to strike. Daniel lifted the artifact high, its glow pulsing violently. No, their voices will rise with mine. The chamber shook, symbols blazing brighter on the walls. The chamber walls cracked further, ancient symbols burning into the stone. Adrian Cole stepped into the glow, voice booming. This is the revelation I promised you, Daniel. With me, you could own it. Daniel Ward roared, I don't want to own it. I want to free it. Emily Cross tears streamed down her cheeks. And if freedom kills us all? Elias Graves' voice rumbled. Then death is better than slavery. Sarah Holt pressed her locket to the ground, whispering, Father, guide me. Kane advanced, eyes blazing. You're leading them to ruin, Daniel. Only silence will save the world. Daniel's voice thundered over the chaos. Silence is the true enemy. Truth screams to be heard. The chamber split apart as light engulfed them. The ground shook violently as the artifact flared with unbearable light. Daniel Ward raised it high, shouting, This is the truth they feared. Adrian Cole laughed, and it will burn us alive. Emily Cross screamed, Daniel, you're killing yourself. Elias Graves' voice was grim. Perhaps he was always destined to die here. Sarah Holt cried, clutching her locket to her chest. The voices, they're silent now. Kane's tone was cold, almost satisfied. Because they found their vessel. Daniel's body trembled under the artifact's weight. Then let me be that vessel. Let the truth flow through me. The chamber exploded with light, throwing them into chaos as the ruins roared like a living beast. The ruins glowed like a living star, light tearing through the desert night. Daniel Ward raised the artifact, his voice breaking. The truth, it's here. Emily Cross cried out, Daniel, it's consuming you. Adrian Cole sneered, his face twisted. Let it consume him. He chose this fate. Elias Graves' voice rumbled low. The vessel cannot hold the storm forever. Sarah Holt pressed her locket to her chest, whispering, The voices. They're quiet now. Kane stepped forward, eyes burning. Quiet because they found a prison in him. Daniel's body trembled, veins glowing faintly. No, they're not prisoners. They are free, and I am their echo. The desert shook violently, as stars above flickered unnaturally in answer to his words. The artifact's light expanded into the sky, beams carving constellations across the heavens. Emily Cross shouted, Daniel, it's rewriting the stars. Daniel Ward gasped, his voice strained. They're showing us where they came from. Adrian Cole's smile widened. Proof at last. We were not alone. Elias Graves hissed. Fools. Proof is death in disguise. Sarah Holt whispered through tears, My family. They're among the voices. Kane's tone was sharp. You dishonor them by chasing shadows. Daniel's hands shook violently, but he stood firm. No. I honor them by revealing the truth they died for. Above, the sky pulsed, constellations forming alien geometries that no human had seen before. Marcus Kane advanced, cane pounding into the stone. This ends now. No mortal can bear this. Daniel Ward roared, his body trembling. I will bear it, because no one else dared. Emily Cross cried, her voice breaking. Daniel, you'll die if you don't stop. Adrian Cole laughed harshly. Let him die. Then I'll take what remains. Elias Graves' tone was grim. Truth devours the greedy first. Sarah Holt fell to her knees, sobbing. Daniel, please, don't vanish like my family. Daniel's eyes glowed with blinding light. I am not vanishing. I am becoming the bridge they left behind. Cain swung his cane, but the light erupted, halting him mid-strike. The chamber roared as power consumed the air. The desert floor split open, a deep rumble shaking the earth. Emily Cross screamed, "We'll be swallowed alive." Adrian Cole stepped toward Daniel, shouting, "Give it to me. I can control it." Daniel Ward glared at him. "You never sought truth, Adrian. Only power." Elias Graves bellowed, "The liar shows his true face at last." Sarah Holt clutched her locket, tears streaming. "Father, forgive me. I couldn't save them." Cain shouted above the roar, "Daniel, end this or doom us all." Daniel's body flared brighter, light bursting from his eyes and mouth. There is no end, only revelation. The desert wind howled like a chorus of ancient voices freed at last. The artifact shattered into fragments of light, dissolving into the sky like stars returning home. Daniel Ward collapsed to his knees, his body still glowing faintly. Emily Cross rushed forward crying, "Daniel, stay with us." Adrian Cole screamed in fury, "You destroyed it. You destroyed everything." Elias Graves whispered gravely, "No, he released it." Sarah Holt knelt beside Daniel, pressing her locket into his hand. "The voices are gone. They're finally free." Cain lowered his cane, his face pale. "And with their freedom comes a silence that terrifies me." Daniel lifted his head weakly, whispering, "Truth isn't owned or caged. It only waits for someone willing to listen." His eyes closed as the desert fell silent, the stars above shining brighter than ever.